Hi and welcome to Step by Step. This is a video about nitrates, and before you switch off, because that's a boring subject, it isn't a boring subject and it's very important, so stick with it. Tank nitrates, nitrates you get in your tank, are a big, high money-making opportunity for suppliers, and it's a multi-million pound, probably billion-pound industry, and the reason for that is because a lot of aquarists are concerned about nitrate levels in their tank and also the impacts on fish. So the guidance is to keep nitrates low. The key issue for a lot of people, I always find it slightly funny, but when you're cycling, nitrates are your biggest friend. You spend all your time hoping to see nitrates getting higher and higher and higher. Once you are beyond cycling and you're maintaining an aquarium, you end up hating nitrates because they are problematic. This video is about tap nitrates. It's not about nitrates within the aquarium, although the two things are linked. If you've got high tap nitrate, you have high nitrate within your tank, unless you're doing something about it. So this video is about how you reduce nitrates in your water supply. Whether you've got high, medium, whatever that level is, how can you get those nitrates to zero? If you're putting water in your tank with zero nitrates, that is a brilliant thing to be doing. Okay, so this video is about how you do that. Let's just have an intro, and it's going to be quite a long one, I suppose, in terms of what are nitrates. So for drinking water, the level of nitrate in your tap that comes in, if you're getting a supply from a supplier, is regulated by governments. And the World Health Organization provide the guidelines as to what is considered to be high. Now, most water suppliers also use, or governments I should say, also stick with the World Health Organization guidelines, and that is to have a maximum of 50 parts per million nitrates in your tap. So in the UK, if your supplier goes above 50 parts per million, they are in effect breaking the law. It's illegal, it's against the law to do that. The reason why 50 parts per million is set as a guideline for human drinking water is partly because levels above that are linked to cancer and a range of other things. But the biggest reason probably is to safeguard against what's called blue baby syndrome, which can often be fatal in young children. So nitrate level is largely retained at a certain level to avoid blue baby syndrome. You'll have to look up that if you're interested in it. So okay, how do nitrates get into your water supply? Now, it is partly natural. So decaying plants and things like that on soils, that all goes down into the water supply or the groundwater, and decaying plant materials as part of the breakdown of those materials ends up being nitrate. The biggest issue, or the biggest reason for nitrate levels is actually farming and the application of fertilizers. If you've got high nitrates, you probably live in an area that has a high level of agricultural sort of practice going on. Now there's other things as well, so things like urban drainage can also impact on nitrate levels, but agriculture is one of the biggest reasons for high nitrates. And nitrates enter the water supply either through surface water, rivers, things like that, or through groundwater, where your supplier is actually extracting water from boreholes, in effect. This program is about aquariums and nitrates in aquariums. So in addition to the tap water nitrate level that you're putting into your aquarium, nitrates increase within your aquarium because of your fish and the waste they produce, but also the amount of food that you put in there. And also, if you're not maintaining your tank very well in terms of its cleanliness, that also results in sort of nitrates as well. So ammonia is probably the most significant waste in an aquarium. And through a cycle, including the bacteria, ammonia is converted to nitrite, nitrite is converted to nitrate, and that's the end product of cycling. So nitrate in your aquarium increases over time. So what sort of levels are we talking about? Okay, so levels between, say, 25 to 50 are generally considered high. And I would normally say if you've got levels of 40 to 50, really you need to be undertaking water change to reduce the amount of nitrate in your tank. But those levels, 25 to 50, are not directly toxic to fish in the short term. Okay, but the sustained level over time of having those higher levels will impact on fish health over time. So, okay, let's just talk about toxic levels then. So nitrate poisoning in terms of fish is often associated with levels of around about 100 parts per million. Now that is a very high nitrate level, and that would cause a fairly quick reaction in your fish. So the typical signs of high nitrates, very high, are fish becoming lethargic. They don't move around a lot. They can develop red blotches on their outsides. They can develop open sores, and quite often fish will die suddenly. Suddenly there'll be a dead fish. Now, what's quite interesting also is that although we've talked about that 25 to 50, nitrate levels in your tank also promote algae growth and diatoms, which often people will call brown algae, but the brown staining is to do with nutrients in your tank and particularly sort of nitrate. So what's quite interesting is that levels above 10 parts per million can trigger algae and diatoms. So even that what seems to be a fairly low level can also result in algal growth in your tank. That is the reason we undertake water changes. We undertake water changes to, in effect, dilute the amount of nitrate in your water and top that up with fresh water. And that should principally reduce your nitrate levels. So what are the other things apart from water changes? Well, don't overstock your aquarium. If you have too many fish, that will increase the amount of nitrates being produced, and so you will struggle with the nitrate levels. Make sure, as I always say, not to overfeed your fish. Overfeeding fish equals higher nitrate. Make sure that you remove the waste build-up. I now say you must get a vacuum for a biOrb, but keep sort of waste low or small. And also things like removing and cleaning your sponge filter, rinsing it out and getting rid of any waste in there. All those things will keep your nitrate levels at a lower level. Now, here's the but. So I've said 25 to 50 as being sort of what I would consider fairly high levels. Now, but what happens if your water supply, your nitrate in your tap, is actually higher than what's ideal for your fish? So let's just say your nitrate in your tap is something like 15 parts per million, 20 parts per million, 30 parts per million, and even higher, up to 50 parts per million. You are putting fresh water in your tank that already has a nitrate level that isn't suitable for your fish, and that is what I want to talk about. So even undertaking water changes, you are simply putting even more nitrate, or potentially putting more nitrate into your tank every time you do a water change. Now you can actually calculate. It's quite simple what a water change will actually do to tank nitrate. So if you had a nitrate level in your tap that was 0, no nitrates whatsoever, and your tank has 10 parts per million. If you remove half the water and replace that with water that doesn't have any nitrate in it, your 10 parts per million will go down to 5 parts because you've diluted it by half. So that will end up being a nitrate level of 5 parts per million. It's great. I do wish I lived in an area where nitrate levels in the tap were 0. I don't. If your tap water, say 20 parts per million, and your aquarium nitrate is also 20 parts per million, if you want to take a 50% water change, or even, it doesn't matter what level of water change, you will always end up with taking out half and putting the same level of nitrates back in. Your tank will retain 20 parts per million. Now the problem is when your tap levels are even higher than that, and every time you do a water change, and also the fish are adding into that water, your nitrates over time will go step, 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 getting higher and higher and higher. And your tank nitrates will just get so high, eventually you get to a point where there's nothing you can do about it. It's because of that there's quite a lot of attention done by people who especially have large aquariums, and me with my small aquariums, about dealing with tap nitrate, even more so than dealing with aquarium nitrate. And the normal way that people do that is, and I've mentioned this before, is they use an RODI water filter system, where basically the tap water goes into your large filter system, and those systems remove everything. They strip everything out of the water, so you end up with pure water. Okay, but the problem with that is because that strips out even the minerals, there are things you need to add back into your water to make it suitable for your aquarium. Now that's quite a complicated business, and it is very, if you're new to having an aquarium, that is an area that really I would say to avoid, because it really does need a good understanding, but also it needs an understanding of exactly what the requirements are of your fish as well. Which takes me to what this video is about. I've been using a filter system that's not expensive, and it looks like this. Now this filter system is made by a firm called Pisani, but they have a sister company called Fish Logic, so you can get it from either of those. It's the same thing. And what this is a filter that takes or strips nitrate out of your tap water. And I must say, this is only intended for treating your water change water. It's not about connecting this to your aquarium and it coming back round. It's not about circulation. It's purely to deal with tap water. Now this takes out, as I said, nitrate from your tap water. In most cases, it will take tap water to 0 or on the verge of 0. It just removes it completely. But what the good thing about this system is, it doesn't affect anything else within your tap water. You don't have to start putting minerals and other things back in. You have tap water that goes into here, comes out the other side, and it's ready to go into your aquarium. Straightforward, easy, okay? And it is literally, it is child's play. Okay, so how does it work? Right, so this is a system that doesn't need to be plumbed in or anything complicated. You don't need a plumber to use one of these, okay? It is a plug-and-play system, my expression, a plug-and-play system. It's just simply attaches to your tap. As I said, the water goes in, your tap water goes in, and what comes out is suitable aquarium water with no nitrates. Now, because it uses a filter system, I'll show you the filter system, which looks like this. Okay? So that goes inside there, and it's this here that extracts the nitrate out of your tap water. Now, the problem with the filter is, like all filters or like this, is that their ability to take the nitrate out of your tap water reduces over time, because this becomes, if you like, full of it. It's taking the nitrate out and it's holding it. So over time, it gets to a point where it's no longer able to take out your nitrate. So how long the filter lasts for actually just depends. It's not about time, it depends on your water quality. It depends on how many times you're using it, and also the level of nitrate in your tap water. The higher the nitrate, the shorter the time it will last for. So the lifespan of the filter is proportionate to the level of nitrate in your tap water. How to use it. Now the filter itself comes with two hose lock attachments, these. So the filter comes with this. It also comes, and you buy one, with a filter, which just goes in there, like that. And the lid goes on. Tighten it up, like that. Now, the filter also comes with a bracket here, which is really good, because I'll show you how I use mine. But you can just put in a couple of screws, put this onto a wall near a tap, and then when you finish with it, you can just unhook it and stick it in the cupboard. Okay, which is exactly what I do. Apart from, I actually take mine outside and I use it outside using my tap for the garden. The important thing about using one of these is the water flow through it. Now, to optimise and to get the best nitrate reduction, you need to have water coming through here at a rate of about 1.5 litres per minute. So it's neither too slow or too fast. I'll show you. So you'll have to work out, if you're using 5 litre bottles like I do, to top those up. So I mean you're talking like 2.5 minutes, maybe 3 minutes, whatever that is. I can't work it out. To fill a 5 litre sort of water bottle. The higher the flow rate through it in terms of water, so if you go above 1.5 litres per minute, it potentially won't take out so much nitrate. It'll still work, but it won't necessarily take your nitrates to zero or near zero. So the filter, as I mentioned how I use it, can be placed outside, but you do need to avoid temperatures that would cause the contents or the water within it to freeze, in effect. So generally you don't want to be living outside with temperatures, say 5-4 degrees outside, which is exactly what I do, even in the winter. And I've been using this all over the winter and from last autumn. I bring this inside, I take it outside and I use it, even in really cold conditions, use it, get the water out, and then take that back off, and I store it in the house. When you do take this indoors, what you need to do is, well, what I do is basically to empty any water that's still left in here, just to pour it out, and then just sort of keep it. And I use this every week. So this part now is, if you like, my review of my use of this since the back end of last year. Okay, and as I said, this is something I use all the time. I use it every week. I have 4 aquariums that are all being supported through this little filter. So my tap nitrate level on average is 24 parts per million, which is sort of in that, just on that edge of that sort of bracket of being slightly too high. It's not 50, it's nearer to the 25 that I mentioned. But if I was to put my tap water in here, and the whole of this tank was 24 parts per million nitrate, the fish and the feeding is going to increase that nitrate level over the week, and I'm certainly going to have to do a water change. And it's always been problematic for me, the levels of nitrate, and I've used different things to reduce that down. I've finally found something that actually does exactly what it is supposed to do, and I don't have to mess around with the water that comes out of it. It is free to go straight into that tank, apart from just warming it, and also I always treat it with dechlorinator as well. So it's a really good product. Now, so based on my tap water, and as I said, the lifespan of the filter inside reflects how high your nitrate level is. I have been testing. So this is my previous filter. So I put a new filter in on the 28th of November, and I ran that filter to the 29th of January, and that's on 4 aquariums. And I do this every time I've done a water change. Every one of these lines is 5 litres of water. If you add all those up, okay, that's 300 litres of water from one filter. And then I need to change the filter because the nitrates start to creep back up again. So around about 300 litres I'm getting. And this is my current filter. So I've started again. I'm recording how much. Really, I'm only doing this for this channel. I won't be recording after this. I roughly know what this filter does. So I'm getting 0 nitrates in effect from my tap, which actually really has a nitrate level of 24 parts per million. Now 300 litres is a lot of water for a biOrb. And as I said, I am maintaining 4 biOrbs, sometimes higher, but 4 biOrbs. I've got 3 30 litre and also a 60 litre that I maintain, and I'm doing water changes every week on all of those tanks. Now, if you have one biOrb, let's just say a 30 litre biOrb, and every week you were going to do a 50% water change, and you have a tap nitrate the same as mine, you should get about 5 months worth of water change from just one filter. And that is water that takes your aquarium nitrate right down. Now, when I've looked at the reviews of this, I have read people that are getting up to 600 litres out of one filter. I think that reflects that possibly their nitrate isn't the same as mine. It's less, let's just say 15 parts per million, rather than my sort of 24, 25. So, as an example, the filter reduces my tap water from 24 parts per million to 0 when I undertake, in the case of the loop here. At the time I do a water change, okay, I take out half my water and I replace it with new water. The new water I'm adding in is 0 parts per million nitrate. My tank at the end of a week is 10 parts per million. So every time I do a water change, I'm taking my nitrate tank level down to 5. And over the space of a week, that is increasing up to about 10 parts per million. And that is the same with all my aquariums. And that's based on roughly about sort of 9 or 10 fish in a 30 litre. So that gives you some idea. Okay, you can roughly work out with the figures that I've said how long and whether it's worth. I think it is worth, because if you value your fish, if you value your aquarium, if you value a clean aquarium and healthy fish, this product is the thing to get if you've got reasonably high nitrates. So the filter itself, as I said, it's made by Pisani. It's called their number 10 filter, a nitrate reduction sort of filter. How much is it? £34.95, including postage, and that includes a filter. So you get this with these, oops, like that, with a filter, with a bracket, everything is ready to go. And that'll probably last you, depending on what you've got, but it potentially lasts you many months before you need to get a filter. And the replacement filters, which I showed you at the start, one of these, are £14.95. So beyond your initial outlay, which arguably is this, really the only thing that you need to keep sort of changing over quite a period of time is that, and just get another one of those. Now the filters themselves, all of this stuff can be purchased directly from the firm Pozzani via their website. I think they do overseas sort of postage as well. You can't get this through things like Amazon for some reason, but you can get the filters through Amazon. I think Amazon prices are slightly higher, but the prices I told you before are exclusive of postage, so you need to add sort of postage on. So $34.95 for the initial outlay, including the filter and replacement filters, are £14.95. So I'll put this back in. The things you need to get beyond that, well, you need a wall probably to hang this on, and then you need two fairly shortish pieces of garden hose, really. So this will screw into here like this. You know these things work. And that's it. Now, what I'll do is on the description underneath the video, if you click on the thing that says more information or whatever, I'm not sure what it says, but I'll put the links to this product, where you can get it from, and if it's something you want to do. I think if it was me, even if I had tap nitrates of 10 parts per million, I would still use one of these. I would definitely use one of these. I would want that nitrate level that I'm putting into my tank to be 0. So I would even get it, even if I didn't have what you might consider to be a high nitrate level. If that's what you want to do, or certainly if you've got high nitrates in your tap, get one of these. I hope you found that useful. I hope that solves your problem if you've been struggling with nitrates for some time and never been able to find out how to do it. As I said, I've thoroughly tested it. I absolutely love it. I really do. This and a vac are probably two of my favourite things you can buy. Don't buy all that rubbish, all this stuff that these companies are producing that are guaranteed over the space of a year to do X, Y, Z and reduce your night. Just get one of these. Stop messing around. Get an instant result. Don't mess around with chemicals and all those other things. Just get one of those and get your nitrates gone, and look after your fish. Right. I hope you found that useful. I will see you in the next video. Take care. Bye.